The 7-boat blast to Boston is back on. The Volvo Ocean Race fleet is screaming its way stateside on leg 6. Old scores and ongoing rivalries are about to be settled. Still leading just is 6-race veteran Bao Becking on Telefonica Blue. His 100-mile lead now slashed to ribbons.
An absolute shocker.
Third overall, Becking must hold off the boats chasing him to keep his challenge alive. And the boat he's trying to catch on the leaderboard is the one right behind him on the water, Torben Grail's Ericsson 4.
We're on this high pressure here and getting ready for some action in the next 24 hours.
Reached the dock first in Boston, and Grail's men will tighten their grip on the race still further. Also in the mix, Ericsson 3, skippered by Magnus Olsen. Cracked ribs may have laid him low, but after their astonishing win on leg 5, Olsen's men are riding high.
They better watch out. Me and Anders, we're coming.
While heading for home port, still looking for his first win, is Ken Reid on Puma's Il Mostro.
We are shipping up to Boston.
Second overall, but fourth on the leg, will Reid's street smarts be enough to slip past the boats in front? Off the pace, but not out of the picture, Telefonica Black, Delta Lloyd and Green Dragon, but at the top it breaks down to 2. Telefonica Blue, the long-time leg front runners, against Ericsson 4, the overall race leaders. It's Becking versus Grail. Leg 6 has reached boiling point. The Volvo Ocean Race fleet is approaching Boston on leg 6. Over 3/4 of its 37,000 nautical mile lap of the planet already completed. Leg 1, the first of 10, began in Alicante, Spain in October last year and was won by Ericsson 4, who set a new 24-hour monohull speed record en route to Cape Town. When, for the first time, the race route headed northeast across the Indian Ocean on leg 2, it was again Grail's men who prevailed, extending their overall lead on arrival in Cochin. Leg 3 saw the first of 2 consecutive wins for Telefonica Blue, Bao Becking's men snatching victory in Singapore in a remarkable finish, the first 4 boats crossing the line inside 20 minutes. In the brutal upwind battle to Qingdao on leg 4, structural damage forced Delta Lloyd and Telefonica Black to withdraw, but the blue boat came through unscathed to lead the fleet ashore in China. The 12,500-mile leg 5 produced an extraordinary win for Magnus Olsen's men on Ericsson 3. Late crossing the start line following 2 weeks of repairs in Taiwan, but first to finish in Rio after a navigational ploy at the scoring gate. Halfway through the 4,900-mile leg 6 to Boston, Telefonica Blue's lead stood at over 100 miles. But as the first boat to meet the lighter air to the north, they find the situation on day 11 very different.
Right now, the Ericsson 4 is only 30 miles behind us. But just to put it in perspective, the black boat is only 20 miles behind Il Mostro, so just everything from behind is just closing up. So still I think the Ericsson boats are really fast in this angle right now, just how it looks. But nice, it's not.
We're the top boat speed, so that's a good start.
Top.
Yeah. All right, we're in second. We average 15.2 at 335. Telly Blue is leading, they average 14.4. In third is the Nordics. Fourth was Puma, they averaged 15. There you go, that's about it. Had the longest run and same heading as everyone else, so net gain to us.
Ericsson 4's chase of Telefonica Blue is relentless. The overall leaders continue to erode Bauer Becking's lead, confident of exploiting further opportunities ahead.
We're coming out of the trees. There's going to be a lot of change in wind direction and wind speed. It's going to be quite different from what we have been sailing so far.
Less than 5 miles behind in third place, Magnus Olsen's men hit trouble.
We turn around the spinnaker, it'll all end up into when we can pull it back onto the bow.
Yeah, but before that, we have to get a couple of sail ties all the way to the shrouds, you know, it'll be easy to get it up.
Here! Oh my!
A bit of excitement here on board the Ericsson 3. We're running along quite nicely in 25 knots, and suddenly the strop that holds the Yannick up on top of the rig broke. So they all came down into water, big bang, boat stopped, and we got everyone up on deck and tried to recover it on board. Unfortunately, the sail broke, so we had to get that on board, and now get the new sail up, and it's not the perfect one, but it looks like we're doing pretty good speed. Of course, we lost a lot, but we're up on our wheels again and going for it.
Watch yourself, man.
Further down the fleet, Delta Lloyd's pursuit of 5th place Telefonica Black has also suddenly slowed, but for different reasons.
More. Yeah, no, halfway.
Come here, Ed. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Go.
I guess it's one of the risks sailing in the ocean. I guess it's like if you're sitting in your lounge room at home, then all of a sudden this thing just comes cutting through your house. That'll you off. So, poor little sharky.
Recent skeds are making alarming reading on Puma's Il Mostro in 4th.
Not a great way to wake up.
Skipper Ken Reid is still looking for his first win and is determined to deliver for his fans and backers in Boston.
Red is bad. Green is good. Not a perfect one. Good.
In Reid's sports-mad hometown, there's a big few days in prospect.
Huge weekend in sports for Boston. We've got the Red Sox, we've got the Volvo Ocean Race, we've got the Celtics. It's going to be the greatest weekend in sports.
Awesome weather, can't beat it.
The Red Sox, the city's baseball team, host the New York Yankees, while basketball's Celtics and ice hockey's Bruins are both in playoff action. But the skipper of the Red Boat wants to make back-page headlines of his own.
Will it be disappointing to sit there in the crowd in your own hometown and not go up on stage? Yes, I can honestly say it would. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're working so hard. I think we'd like to do this for our fans because we know how many are going to be here cheering us on and looking for good news. I kind of feel, it's not an obligation, but a responsibility just to make sure we put in the best effort possible.
Day 13, and it's decision time on Telefonica Blue. Their lead over Ericsson 4 now barely 6 miles. With the wind having shifted to the southeast and a cold front imminent, Becking's men must soon make a move west towards Boston. But go too early and they may run out of wind. Go too late and they'll sail too far away, leaving themselves with a less favourable wind angle. Their timing is critical.
Could go okay for us, but might not.
At 0650 GMT, in an effort to regain the initiative, Becking takes his boat into stealth play, his moves invisible to the fleet for the next 12 hours. 3 hours later, Torben Grail and Ericsson 4 follow suit. At 1040 GMT, the race leaders make their crucial manoeuvre.
I think the key moment of the race is the position of this jibe. You went too far away on on the old tank, you do a longer road. Going too early, you do the greedy, you can get light, so it's a very sensitive moment here. And it's good that other people don't know where we are, as we don't know where Telefonica Blue is.
When the two boats emerge from stealth play, the picture has changed dramatically.
Had an absolute shock. So we lost 50 miles to Ericsson since this morning. Ericsson 3, and they lost 12 passes as well. And if we don't watch out, then Delta Light is slipping on the outside as well. So.
Becking and his men jibe too early and quickly run out of pressure. Grail's crew timed their jibe to perfection, lining up 80 miles further north to move ahead of Becking, followed by Ericsson 3 and Puma's Il Mostro. Bauer Becking's hopes of winning the leg have been shattered. His ambitions in the race overall brought to a standstill. Leg 6, day 14, and after outmanoeuvring rivals and long-time leg leaders Telefonica Blue, new leaders Ericsson 4 are now less than 450 miles from Boston, with a 35-mile lead over second-placed Ericsson 3. Complicating the fleet's approach to the city and adding 250 nautical miles to the racetrack is a total exclusion zone set up to protect the feeding grounds of the endangered right whale. On Ericsson 4, Torben Grail's men are more concerned with their own preservation.
Our water maker has blown up. The membrane which is used to remove the salt from the water has, one end of it has exploded and it's no longer in use. So we're going to be using the emergency water makers to make water from now on. We'll be lucky to get 2 litres an hour, 3 litres an hour. It's okay. It's okay.
A shortage of food was Green Dragon's concern on leg 5, but there are no worries this time as Ian Walker's men briefly muscle their way into 5th.
Today we're not losing.
Just a few miles behind, Tuni Bermudez's crew on the first-generation Delta Lloyd are feeling the heat in their ongoing struggle to hold on to 6th.
Unfortunately, those Telefonica black guys have been making some ground on us in the last 12 hours. But that might change because by tonight there should be more breeze on our side.
What's the plan?
Pretty labor-intensive changes because the wind is up to about 20 knots. So guys are doing a really good job there.
Now we are coming back to this really intense racing.
After suffering a cracked rib earlier in the leg, Ericsson 3's skipper has returned to his ebullient best.
People starting to get back to their strange behavior. For example, we have this guy Gustav Morin. He eats all the time. He eats all the time. That's very annoying for the rest of the people. And then we have Jens Dolmer, our Danish. He sponges all the time, cleans up all the time. He cleans, and that's also very annoying because then you always feel because he cleans everything up behind you and so on. Then we have, for example, our Finnish guy Tompi Johansson. He trims all the time. He eases the check stay 2 millimeter. He takes it up 3. He eases the sheet 2.5. He takes it up 1.5 and so on. Lots of strange behaviors on this boat.
I forgot one. They also have Axel, and he reads. He reads all the time. Read all the time. He reads. Unnecessary thing, but he reads. That's him.
McDowell's reading of the weather situation at least proves correct. When Ericsson 4 hit a ridge of high pressure early the following day, their lead evaporates and the Nordics close in.
Kind of reminds us of going back to Lanzarote, a bit of two-boat testing. Let's see if V3 is going to win the test.
They've run out of water over there though, so when we go past we'll celebrate with a cup of coffee.
About 40 minutes to fill a kettle to make 6 cups of coffee. Nights like last night where it was absolutely freezing cold, there were plenty of volunteers to come down and do 40 minutes of pumping.
After completing more than 4,700 nautical miles, the winners of leg 5 and the leaders on leg 6 are barely a mile apart. When the temperatures again start to drop, the battle between Puma and Telefonica Blue hots up. Approaching the corner of the exclusion zone, Ken Reid takes Il Mostro into stealth play, desperate to hold third on the last 200 miles to Boston.
Everybody's a little on edge right now. Makes it a little more fun. One thing I know for sure, there won't be much sleep tonight.
Can't even see the barn end. The water is freezing cold, but there's enough work going on that I'm actually boiling hot.
They're 500 metres to windward and going, I'd say, a knot and a half slower. And I believe it's Telefonica Blue. Could be a guy out here fishing, wondering what's going on. Plenty to happen yet. Hopefully between now and the finish there's no passing lanes and we can hold the sky off.
Telefonica Blue are right there, about 100 meters behind me. No wind, Aubrey. At least we can overtake a Puma again, so it's the only good thing from the night to report.
A long night, too much work, one mistake. Kind of a shame, to be honest. Just a little breakdown in communication for a few minutes and voila. We lose the boat that we've been busting our hump with all night, so now we gotta go get them back.
By daybreak on day 16, there are just 13 miles between the first 4 boats as they skirt the northern edge of the whale sanctuary on the approach to Boston. Ahead of the fleet, Ericsson 4 lead their stablemate by just 4 miles. While 8 miles back, Telefonica Blue has but half a mile on Puma's Il Mostro. On one of Boston's biggest sporting weekends of the year, the Volvo Ocean Race delivers a spectacle of its own as the leading boats bear down on the finish line, racing to the last mile. Finally, Ericsson 4 finds just enough breeze to stay ahead of the Nordic boat. "15 days, 10 hours and 30 minutes after leaving Rio, Torben Grail's men crossed the Boston finish line to win leg 6.
We haven't had enough water to make food, so we've had one freeze-dried meal a day and a few snacks, so we're a bit for about the last 4 days, so we're a bit hungry.
On behalf of the City of Boston, welcome. We've been waiting all day for you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Away from the festivities, Ericsson 3 find themselves trying to hold off a final thrust from a resurgent Telefonica Blue.
Got quite a complicated little channel sequence to get through here. D3 is just ahead. they probably got us, but we're going to try our hardest.
That's good, we're closing on them pretty fast. It looks good for us right now. Just got to keep on going, we might roll right by. They're very, very soft and low, so it's not over yet.
Gets us to the finish. On 320, you're safe.
Coming on, Rob. Easy,
Five degrees if you like.
Magnus Olsen's men finished just 13 minutes behind their sister ship to take second, exactly 5 minutes ahead of Telefonica Blue.
How does it feel to arrive to Boston, Magnus?
Yeah, with a hat. We got a hat. But we got the second place, and that's unbelievable. It's so good. We are so happy for second place. Second. Yeah.
After leading for most of the leg they needed so badly to win, Bauer Becking's men take third.
It's been an incredibly tight battle here these last 3 or 4 days, which only good sailing is going to get you through, and they've done a brilliant job. So, I mean, these are no longer rookies, mate. They're world class.
First reaction when I came for the finish, disappointed because we sailed really well for a lot of days, and we had 2 days where we sailed like say it like that. We made one mistake, but we jibed too early, and we had a little breakage in the Gulf Stream where we lost several miles against Ericsson 3. But that is just how it goes. And but the jibe was expensive in that sense.
Almost a year after it was christened in the city, Puma's Il Mostro returns to Boston. Despite their best efforts, Reed and his men failed to make the podium, but still returned to a hero's welcome.
Not exactly the result that we were looking for, probably. We would love to have arrived in Boston in a glamorous style, I would imagine, but you know what? I don't think anybody cares right now. I don't think the crew cares right now. I think everybody's just happy to be here and happy to be in what we call home.
The following morning, some 10.5 hours after Ken Reed's arrival on Puma's Il Mostro, Fernando Echevari's Telefonica Black reaches the dock in 5th place, following a terrific battle with Delta Lloyd. Just a few minutes later, Tuni Bermudez and the Dutch-Irish entry arrived to take 6th place. Trailing by 30 miles after another frustrating leg, Ian Walker reaches Boston to take 7th and regroup for the upcoming import race and the downwind transatlantic dash on leg 7. Ericsson 4's leg 6 triumph now gives Torben Grail's men a 13-point advantage at the top of the overall leaderboard. Bauer Becking edges half a point into 2nd at the expense of Ken Reed, who may yet face pressure from the in-form Ericsson 3 in 4th. Ian Walker stays 5th, Fernando Echevarri 6th, while Tuni Bermudez's improving Delta Lloyd crew remains 7th. 6 legs completed so far, 3 of them won by the same boat. After another 4,900 miles of intense ocean racing to Boston, Torben Grael and Ericsson 4 take another giant stride towards securing the Volvo Ocean Race title in St. Petersburg.